Hello, welcome back.
Welcome back. Today we are showing you part 1 of the electrics in the van.
I'm trying to keep this to 2 parts. One being the first fix where we get all the bulky stuff positioned and the cables run around to places, and then part 2 should be the second fix where we wire up all the appliances one by one. Also in this video you will see that there is some plumbing done, but as is the way with me, I do one bit of one thing and then swiftly get bored and move on to something else. So there is some plumbing done, but the plumbing's coming up in a later video because that also is quite intricate. There's a lot to that. I had to do some and some. I had to get some electrics done and then some plumbing done to then get more electrics done. So there's a bit of a method in the madness, but also yeah, like after crimping a million cables, you just want to get on with something else. So there is some plumbing.
Here we go, let's show you.
We've got a lot going on in a really tight space. I don't want to be using any of the garage area for anything other than our stuff. And I know loads and loads of people obviously use their garage as a utility, but obviously we've got double bunks at the back. So we've got a double bed up high and a double bed as low down as we can get it, but above the wheel arches. So we have around about 300 mil between the floor of the van and the bottom of the kid's bed. And so that's going to be for luggage and skis, bits, pieces, whatever, you know, the kind of stuff you have that you need. So we've been trying to get everything up front. Now obviously I'm going to custom make the batteries to fit underneath the seats. No dramas there. The only issue is that the batteries need to be really very, very close to the Lynx power distributor. You want to try where possible to keep the cable runs as short as possible, otherwise it means having to uprate the cable to accommodate the distance involved. You know, resistance is also one of the governing factors, is the length of the cable. So by having under here battery, Lynx distributor, power inverter, at this point all the big cables are finished with here, because the big 12 volt cables only have to feed the inverter, and once the inverter's got its cable running to it, everything coming off is 240 volt, 220, 240 between the two, and those cables are far smaller because they don't have to carry anywhere near as many amps. And so then I've got down in the corner here, you can see the 3 little holes. Those 3 holes will take the cables from the bottom up to here, and then in the cupboard above I'm going to have solar charge controllers and the 230 volt power distribution board, so your consumer unit that you'd have at home. So that's going to go up here. All of that's going to be in here. From here obviously I've got my conduits in the ceiling and down to the other end of the van, so I can get my power where I need it, and so that's all good. But as you can now see when you look down here, the inverter sticks out quite far and I need to get some clearance for the pipes. So I've got a bit of trickery to do here to try and make all this work. Where the water tank's going to go here, behind here under the passenger's seat is where my DCDC chargers are going to go. That's the battery chargers that take the power from the engine, the alternator, and then feed that into the batteries via the Lynx. As you may remember from the previous video where I was installing the cables from the battery to the underseat section, where we have got going in side by side, kind of roughly here and here, are 2 DCDC chargers. These cables come from the starter battery to these bits. These 2 60mm cables then go off to the Lynx. So that is what I'm working on today. I've just started laying it out. Here we have 2 DCDC controllers, but I'm going to get I'm essentially going to make a wooden backing board for under there, so I can make that now, get that painted and put that onto the van, just make sure it all fits, then bring it back in here and start mounting up all this stuff onto it. So I've made it. This is my backing board that's going to go under the seats of the passenger side for my Orion TR Smart 121230. So this is a DC-DC charger. I haven't just got one, I've got 2. So my total charging input for into the batteries from these is 60 amps. I thought to myself this might be a good idea, that the back of this is aluminium and this is a heatsink. So this is to allow air, cooler air to flow up the back and out the top and recycle cooler air coming in from underneath again to cool the unit. Obviously up front of the van can be a hot place. So I just thought I'd assist the cooling by just cutting some holes out the back, allowing a little more convection from behind the panel to come in through. You may notice at this point that I'm using a fuse holder, but I'm not actually using it with a fuse. I'm actually just using these as terminal studs so that I can actually use the positive and the negative on each individual one to just like a little bit of a bus type bath situation. So as you can see, I've got the board mounted underneath the seats. I found a spare way on the fuse section on the top of the battery, so I put a maxi fuse in and I've got the rest of the wiring connected. So it's all wired up now, and as you can see, I've got the reds all going to one side of this fuse block and the blacks to the other, but there's no fuse in there. So as you can see, I've made a backing board for the top cupboard electrics where I'm mounting up the solar charge controllers, the solar isolators, the 230 volt distribution and the 12 volt distribution boards, amongst a couple of other bits and pieces. So what you can see me doing now is just marking up where I'm going to put the holes, because all the cabling is going to run around in the void behind this panel. Essentially we've got everything all laid out on here, and how do I describe this? I'm essentially just going to cut little sections out for where my cables are all going to go. I've put things here and there are random screw holes where they don't need to be anymore, because I just sort of, I was sort of making it up as I go along, just trying to give myself some room. So I've got here marked all of the screw holes that I need to fill. So I'm going to do my cutouts, fill the screw holes, and then I'm going to paint it. I'm going to paint the thing, make it look a bit more pretty. So it's the old multi-surface paint in anthracite. So yeah, I'm going to bang that on there. Hopefully make it look all nice and professional. Ta-da! One electrical backing board ready to go in, so get on with it.
Together we're both the same. Together we're both the same.
What I'm getting on with at the minute is trying to get everything assembled into the Victron Lynx, which is essentially just like a method of distributing the power from the batteries, fusing it down and then getting it to where you need it to be. So let me just spin you round. So here we are, this is the Lynx. The battery essentially is going to connect onto these terminals on the ends, then the bus bar feeds through to each of these sections that are fused. So this is the actual unit, that's the cover that goes on the front of there. In fact, actually, I've mounted it the other way around because my cables are coming in from the top, but Victron give you a little sticker that is essentially this, but spun the other way up, so it all looks nice and upright. What it doesn't come with though, it doesn't come with any of these additional bolts for essentially connecting the fuses into place. So we got these bad boys that essentially link from there up onto the next bolt, which is then where your feed goes from. So these are just M8s, stainless steel M8s, which are going to go into the back of here, and then I'm going to mount this back onto this bit. I have had to just take this off to do this.
For those of you that are very eagle-eyed, you will see that there are two pipes, in fact, above these bits of electrics. But fear not, I am building a shield that will go over the electrics, so any water, should they come from the pipes or the joints, will actually spill out onto the floor of the van, avoiding all of the electrics.
Don't let it get to you, bruv. What you need, rather than arms around you, I'll let you see. Don't let it get to you, mate. We're all flirts. Don't be sitting there stewing on your own, kicking up dirt. It's a waste of time, staring at the floor. I can see a pattern occurring. It's the same as everyone else. When it stops is when you go home. You just leave.
I haven't been doing many videos lately, I must admit. I've been racing away with the electrics. So let me just give you a little quick rundown of where I'm at and what I'm doing. Just I looked at my phone and thought, yeah, probably should do something, shouldn't I? So here we are. We have the Lynx distribution board, shore power incoming, which then basically feeds the charger. The charger then feeds all of this. All these cables go to the relevant places. The two bigger ones go to the inverter, which is under the driver's seat through that hole. The returning cable comes back and up to the mains distribution board up the top here. Then I've got my two solar charge controllers, solar isolator, 12 volt outlets, a fuse to take from here. I'm going to knock down this cable from a 16 to a 10 mil. But obviously the other side of the fuse, and that then goes over to there where there's going to be another 12 volt distribution board. So what I'm doing now is I'm just providing the ground. So this is the ground stud here. This is going to go up to there, as you can maybe just about see. I've grinded it off the metal, so well the paint, so I could actually get a reasonable bit of continuity with the metal work, if you see what I mean, because obviously the paint could interfere with the termination. So I need to work out a way of getting that to be like that, because there's going to be a wooden panel running flush down here, so I don't want to stick that on there like that and have it poking out. So I think what I'm going to do is make an angle, a piece of angle to go there, and that will clamp onto that angle like that. Alright, I found a piece of angle steel. It's quite thick gauge, I think it's about 6 mil, something like that, so it's quite a solid piece of gear. I'm going to cut this down to what I need. So I've already started cutting it, and then I realised, oh, I probably should do a video. So I'm going to cut that through, grind off all the crap off it, and then just trim it down a wee bit because I don't need it so big. Then drill it out for my lugs, and that's that. If anyone was in any doubt as to why this project's taking so long, it's things like this. All those 5 minutes are all adding up. So I've just spent 15 minutes just turning that into that. It's just to hold the negative cable onto the bodywork. I've pretty much done everything now around the Lynx. With power distribution, the fuses, the bigger cables coming from the batteries. I'm just waiting on the shunt to arrive before I can actually connect up the isolator and the fuses and bits and pieces like that. There's a lot going on in that little area, so I just need that to arrive so I can finish that off. But everything as far as the Lynx onwards goes, it's pretty good. Apart from obviously when I get to the top cupboard, and so now I need to terminate everything coming from the Lynx, which is this 12 volt feed for the fuses, the solar cable, which is ultimately going to the battery from the solar PVs. So that's our 240 outlets, RCD on there. 3 different ways. One is for the immersion for the chlorifier. The other 2 are for sockets around the van, and they're going to power things like the microwave, induction hob, and other general bits for laptops and all that kind of stuff. So let me just go through this. So here we have our 12 volt distribution. As you can see, I've labelled all these outlets here. Underneath here, obviously, there'll be a fuse that goes in behind these, into these fuse holders, but currently none of the ends of these cables are terminated. So it's just a case now of, as I second fix each individual component part, I'll then add the fuse to it. Furthermore, what I see a lot of people don't do, which I was pretty keen to do, is I put switch panels down each side, so the water pump is switched therefore from this. When we're not using the van, or when we're not using various parts of the van, we can just isolate whichever various bit we don't want. So for instance, the diesel heater, probably not going to get a lot of use in summer, so that's number 4. We'll just knock that off. Alright, and then moving on, here we've got a little USB outlet. You can see out the top of here there's 2 cables, there's 2 16mm cables. One feeds this 12 volts, the other goes into here, which fuses down to a 10mm cable, and that 10mm, which is here, I haven't put that in yet. You can see a little pile of cables here which I haven't finished with. That then goes off to the other side of the van over there, where there'll be another 12 volt distribution board for things like fridge and our step, and just general other bits and pieces. And then finally we have here, this is our immersion. So when the immersion is switched on, this will be operational, and so if we need extra water, obviously the calorifier is taking the hot water from the cooling system of the engine, not the hot water, it's taking the heat from the cooling system of the engine, heating up our cylinder. But obviously if we're stationary for a couple of days, then we'll need hot water, so we can just bang this on for either 2 hours, 1 hour, 30 minutes or 15 minutes, and literally just hit the boost button to toggle through each individual thing. Anyway, I think it looks pretty neat. I'm quite happy with it, so moving swiftly on.
Hope you enjoyed that one.
Yes, and if there's anything that's not particularly clear, just drop us a comment below and I'll do my best to respond. There's a lot to it, so digest.
Then like,
subscribe.
subscribe.
We'll see you on the next one.
Part 2.
Part 2. But the next video isn't part 2 of the electrics. The next video, well, check back in and find out. We see what I did there with the whole YouTube lead-in follow-up. People will now have to come back and see what the next video
I just saw your eyebrows.
It's only because I just don't know what it is. Anyway, see you on the next one.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.